All right, summary time. We are putting together our last few lessons. And so we know we have point slope form, which is y minus the y coordinate equals the slope x minus the x coordinate. The other thing we've learned is that parallel means same slope, and perpendicular means opposite, reciprocal slopes. So in other words, flip sign, flip fraction. Okay, for point slope form, this m is your slope, and then x1, y1 is any point on your line. Any point on line. Okay, and so we're going to use this fact to fill in these notes. So let's start with the back page. Okay, we're going to do the back page very differently than we do the front page, so I want to start with the back page first. Okay, so how do you write an equation of a line parallel to y equals 2x plus 7 and through this point? Okay, parallel, and they're giving us a point. So this line right here, the only thing you need that line for is its slope. Okay, and so its slope is 2. Once you steal the slope, don't look at it anymore. Okay, that's all we need it for. Write your equation parallel to this line. So write down the slope, cross it out, don't look at it anymore. And so the slope is 2, and that means parallel to it, the slope must also be 2. And so now I know the slope of the line I want, and I've got a point. And so to write that equation, we use point slope form. And so y minus the y coordinate equals m times x minus the x coordinate. And so y minus, our y coordinate is 4, our slope is 2, and our x coordinate minus negative 3. And so it's in point slope form, but we can convert it to slope intercept form by distributing and then adding the 4 to both sides. Just in case all the answer choices are in slope intercept form, I always convert. Okay, so this line would be parallel to this original line that I'm not looking at anymore, and it would go through this point. And you could graph both of these just to verify. Okay, so similar situation here. We want a graph that is parallel to this line. So steal the slope, which is 2/3, and then don't look at it anymore. And then we've got a point. And so we can use our point slope, y minus the y equals m times x minus the x. So y minus negative 4 equals the 2/3 x minus the x. Convert by distributing. So we've got 2/3 x, and 2/3 times negative 3 is negative 2. Last step, subtract 4. Negative 2 minus 4 puts us even more in debt at negative 6. Okay, how do you write an equation of a line perpendicular to y equals 2x plus 7 and through this point? Steal the slope. Don't look at it anymore. Okay, so this time we want perpendicular. That means we need to flip this fraction and flip the sign. So our slope is negative 1/2. And then we have a point. Don't forget to flip it. Flip the sign, flip the fraction. So now we've got a slope of negative 1/2. On a multiple choice test, cross off any choice that doesn't have a slope of negative 1/2. It usually narrows it down to 2 options. Okay, so our slope is negative 1/2. Our x1 is negative 3. Our y1 is 4. Y minus the y equals m times x minus the x. And they do give you this formula on your formula chart for STAR. So y minus the y equals m x minus negative 3. Distribute, giving me negative 1/2 minus 3/2. And then we add the 4. So I'm going to come over here and do that negative 3/2 plus 4. I've got to multiply top and bottom by 2. Gives me 5/2. And so my final equation the y-intercept is 5/2 or 2.5 if you converted to decimals. Okay, how do you write an equation of a line perpendicular to this line? Steal the slope. Don't look at it anymore. Okay, and so first, kind of got carried away in that box. So for our slope, since it's perpendicular, we got to flip the fraction, flip the sign. So the slope changed to be 3/2 and a negative. Cross off any answer choice that doesn't have negative 3/2 as the slope. We've got a point. And so y minus the y equals m x minus the x. So y minus negative, m is negative 3/2, x minus 3. Distribute the negative 3/2. Negative 3/2 times negative 3 gives me a positive 9 on top. When you multiply negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. 2 times the 1 is 2. So we've got a plus 9/2 or 4.5 right there if you used your calculator or converted to decimals. And then if you subtract 4, If you had 4.5, that would leave you with a 1/2 here. Or off to the side. 9/2 minus 4. Got to multiply top and bottom. So it gives you that 1/2. That's how you get that 1/2. Okay, so that's how you write parallel and perpendicular lines. They're going to give you a line, and all you need is the slope, and then you ignore it, and then you use the given point, and you use that point slope formula to write your full equation and convert it. Okay, on the front, I skipped this because it's very different, because we are going to be dealing with vertical and horizontal lines. And so you do not use the point slope formula. These are going to be x equals and y equals equations. And so these are easier, but they're easier to mess up. And so I always draw a picture. Okay, and so it says, how do you write the equation of a line parallel to the x-axis? So the first thing I do is I picture the x-axis, and I even put it on my paper. Okay, and so parallel to that would also look like this. And so they're giving me a point, and so over here, I'm going to plot that point at -3/4, -3, +4. Okay, and then it's parallel to the x-axis, so the line looks like this. And then look at where it's crossing. It's crossing at y equals 4. So the equation of the line that is parallel to the x-axis and through that point is y equals 4. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for this next one. So we want to write parallel to the y-axis. The y-axis looks like this. And we want to go through this point. So I'm going to sketch that point, -3, 4. Go ahead and sketch that point. And then parallel to the y-axis would be a vertical line. Look at where it crosses. It crosses at x equals -3. And so the equation of my vertical line would be x equals -3. Remember, these are equations. And y equals -3 is going to be an option. Y equals 4 is going to be an option. X equals 4 is going to be an option. And so don't fall for their tricks. Draw your picture. Okay, next example, perpendicular to the x-axis. The x-axis looks like that, and so perpendicular to that would look like this. And so let's sketch our picture. -3, +4 is that point. And then perpendicular to the x-axis means it slices just like that and crosses at the x equals -3 spot. So same equation as the previous one, only this time we viewed it as perpendicular to the x-axis instead of parallel to the y-axis. You can see how these can be really easy to mess up. Flipping between parallel and perpendicular, x-axis, y-axis, I always have to draw my picture. Okay, we're still dealing with the point -3, 4. And so let's see what they want this time. They want perpendicular to the y-axis. So here's the y-axis, perpendicular is that way. And so it crosses at y equals 4. That's our horizontal blue line here. I always look at where it crosses to help me write the line. Still dealing with -3, 4. And this time they want parallel to the x equals 2 line. So the x equals 2 line is a vertical line. And we need this to be parallel to it and through the point I've plotted. And so that's the line they want. Crosses at x equals -3. So there's our answer. It's a vertical line through x equals -3. Okay, switching colors all over the place. Still -3, 4. Just as an example, they're going to switch that point all the time. But for your examples, I just wanted to keep it consistent. So we're going to plot that point. And then still x equals 2. It's a vertical line right there. And so this time we want perpendicular to it. That means it's got to go this way. And so it crosses at y equals 4. It's a horizontal line. Remember, y equals for horizontal lines, x equal for vertical lines. Right, negative, kind of got carried away. -3, 4. In your graphs, these little sketches don't have to be perfect, just enough to help you answer. Okay, this time they have given us y equals 2. Y equals 2 is a horizontal line. And we want parallel. And so it is also a horizontal line, but it crosses at y equals 4. Last one, let's plot that point one more time. And then they have given us that same point, -3, 4. And then they've given us the line y equals 2, which is horizontal, crossing at y equals 2. And this time we want perpendicular. So this way, through that point. It crosses at x equals -3. So that is the equation of our vertical line. Okay, and so these are your completed notes. Remember, if you're dealing with horizontal and vertical lines like the x-axis, the y-axis, or an x equals equation or a y equals equation through a specific point, draw your picture just like I've done on all of these examples. It'll make it so much easier. Okay, over on the back, when it's a slanted line, that's when you need your point slope formula, y minus the y, x minus the x. And so in each case, we had to use that formula because it was a slanted line.